ahead of us for the Martins Group Formula V Championship race. It's underway now. Pretty sluggish start from Matt Harbert from the outside of the front. A great start from the back from James Harridge. He's going to make up several places before they get to Clervaux Corner. You could just see him bursting through, but it's Danny Hans leading. Ian Jordan's made a good start to this race as well. From he was on row 5 of the grid, I think. He's up to about 3rd position. It's Steve O, I think, that's gone into second.
Yeah.
He's an experienced campaigner, so he's able to use all of that knowledge to get well up the order here. So they're heading through Hawthorne and the chicane for the first time. Hans making a little bit of a break here from Steve O in 2nd place. It's Ian Jordan in 3rd position. Matt Harbert 4th. Craig Bell in the Befind Dominator in 5th.
And Harridge, the champion, up into the top 12 by the halfway up the straight.
And I think he's pretty much level pegging with Craig Pollard at Tower Corner. Yes, he is. They're almost together, as you can see, as they go through Tower. We could just see that on the camera shot there as well. So both Pollard and, even more impressively, Harridge have made up a lot of ground on the first half a lap here. So they're making their way through the Jim Clark S's and towards Barcroft. And the spinner is Steve O. He's gone off into the clocks from 2nd position. And also, that is... Which one of those is that? That is, I think, possibly Andrew Cooper that's gone off as well. In the 2 AHS Dominators have both found their way into the field on the inside. Craig Bell has gone very wide at Sunny Corner also. He'd been making up a little bit of ground, and it's looking very spread out there for us. They come back down to the complex for the first time.
It's quite amazing, isn't it? Yeah, and we've got number 2 then, Danny Hans, who's been vice champion for the last 4 seasons. Won the championship back in 2008. And he leads by a country mile from Matt Harbert.
Harridge is 4th, though. Harridge is 4th now. He's just behind Matt Harbert, right with him as they go round the hairpin.
Pollard is 6th, so this is a remarkable drive from James Harridge, and he's now slipstreaming Harbert. He doesn't seem to have quite the pace, but he's in the really wet part of the circuit, and he's going past the blue car, coming down the inside of Matt Harbert into Clervaux Corner. This is James Harridge from the back of the field. And he's now running in 3rd place, which is just staggering.
Absolutely incredible drive, and Pollard up to 5th by the end of the opening lap as well. There he is. You could just see him going through the shot there. So Harridge was 6.6 seconds behind the leader, Danny Hans, at the beginning of the 2nd lap of the race. It'll be interesting to see what that gap is at the end of lap 2. Hans has a lead of more than 3 seconds over Ian Jordan in 2nd place. We lost Steve O and Andrew Cooper. We saw them surveying their cars, who no doubt the very soggy crop on the infield there, halfway around the opening lap. But here's Harridge. Is, by the looks of it, taking time out of Ian Jordan. Harridge, the champion in each of the last 2 seasons. Yellow flags waving, but look, those cars are a fair way off into the crop there. The drivers are waving to
having a conversation.
Yeah, to the competitors as they go past. But Harridge now with Ian Jordan.
And you can see Harridge actually sits quite a long way forward in the car. Look at that, he pops his hand up just to clear the visor. He's dived down the inside. He's taken that place. But it's quite a forward control car. It's probably quite twitchy on the rear, which is how he likes it. And he does go incredibly well.
Yellow flags on the exit of Sunny as well, by the looks of it.
Yes. And we have
a safety car. That's why we've got yellow flags there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And, well, if that's for the 2 cars that are in the crop, they are a long way off.
It's going to wipe out a large lead that Danny Hans has. He's 3.37 ahead at the end of the 1st lap.
I'm not sure Harridge needed much help either, but yep, that's going to wipe out Hans' big advantage. It was more than 3 seconds. That will become nothing. As far as I'm aware, the only 2 cars that we have lost are those that are in the crops. Andrew Cooper, who was 2nd in the championship, coming into this race, and also Steve O, of course, who was 2nd in the race when he went spinning off on these difficult conditions. Very wet out there. Of course, they've not had any sort of proper wet running before this. Number 6
broken. That's Probert, isn't it?
It is. Yes, yesterday's podium finisher. It looks like a mechanical issue or something with the car rather than anything else. Or maybe it's, well, I think if it just decided it didn't fancy the rain, he'd have driven all the way down the pit lane.
Yeah, I suspect it's just drowned, hasn't it? That's pretty much the way these things go.
So the race order at the end of 2 laps is number 2 Danny Hans leading. It's number 1 James Harridge in 2nd, number 3 Ian Jordan in 3rd, in 4th place is number 92 Craig Pollard, in 5th is number 33 Matt Harbert, and 6th is number 17 Elliot Mason. 7th is 56 Christian Goller, 8th is 51 Matthew Hyde, 9th 43 Vaughan Jones, and 10th is 69 Ian Buxton. But we have the safety car out at the moment. Marshall is now pushing Tim Probert's car down the pit lane beneath our commentary position, and we'll see what is going to be done about the cars that were off in the crop at the exit of the Jim Clark S's. There's Cooper on the left talking to Steve O on the right.
They're trudging back.
Yeah. Yeah, and obviously sopping wet and shot as well, having to vacate their car.
As O came through backwards, you saw that his nose cone picked up, and they just pulled all that crops there.
So we've got the circuit vehicle heading out to see what it can do about those two. But I would have thought they're fairly well off the circuit.
The problem is, if cars have been there, it's possible that more cars can be there.
Can go there.
The responsibility of something collecting someone already parked is too great.
And of course, you've got drivers that are in an exposed position out of the car as well. So
Formula V is one of those amazing stories, isn't it? I mean, we've had Formula V in this country since 1967, so it's 55 years of Formula V. The first race ran just a couple of weeks before the first Formula Ford race, and we've been following Formula Ford for years. But the air-cooled Beetle engine cars are quite remarkable. Among the champions who've gone to greater things, Brian Henson went on to win the European Formula 2 Championship with the Tolman Hart team in 1980. When he won Formula V in the early part of the 70s, he very sort of boldly said he was going to be in Formula 1, and he got there under his own steam as a privateer for a while. But these days the progression just not possible through the ranks as it was. I mean, there's some fantastic drivers here, don't get me wrong, some of whom could really hold their own in higher formulae, but just unfortunately getting there is now on impossible.
The most obvious successful driver at a higher level that's raced in Formula V in recent years has been Ashley Sutton, who of course is now a multiple British touring car champion after he raced in V, which was his first experience out of karts. He then went down the tin top route initially into Fiestas, then he had a road accident that kept him out of racing for some time before he rejoined in Clio's and then graduated to the British Touring Car Championship. But really V was just his first stepping stone out of karting, I guess. Something similar to what Matthew Hyde is doing, who's about to go into shot. There he is in the
51 car, the GAC. From the Sybil Headingham / Halstead way over in Essex, and we were finding out that he'd been diabetic since he was 10, which caused one or two problems with his karting licence. But when he got back into that, he's really got on top of the condition and embraced it, and well controlled, is able to race, which is fantastic. It's become more possible over the last decade or so, hasn't it? Better control, better treatments, etc. But still ongoing research, which is important. Oh, here we go.
That's Steve O's car. Some new adornment on the.
Looks like a winning entry of the Chelsea Flower Show, which is this week.
Royal
Horticultural Society, take note.
So that's Steve O's car that's been brought back. I'm not sure if Andrew Cooper's car's also being collected, but I think we're down to around about 24 cars still circulating.
More to the point, we're down to about 6 minutes to go in the race, which means it's only going to be a bit of a sprint, isn't it? It
is unfortunately, but enough time possibly for James Harridge and or Craig Pollard to get to the front. Danny Hans will know this is a good opportunity for him to get his first victory of the season.
And there's our problem. There's Andrew Cooper sort of standing there in the field and
hands on the hips. Yeah, if we need to rescue him as well, it is going to take a little while. So we'll see what happens here.
I suspect he was in a slightly less exposed position where he is there, because it's kind of closer to the corner.
That's right. So wait and see what.
Any provision to add 3 minutes onto it, not within a tight timetable?
No, the regulations don't allow for that. Obviously, in the British Touring Car Championship, which we might be familiar with, there is the provision to add up to 3 laps on. But the safety car lights are out now, so it looks like we are going to go racing again as the sun is trying to break through over our right shoulder. This will be with around about 5 minutes to go, so we could get 3 or 4 laps, probably 3 laps in these conditions. But before the safety car, James Harridge is in a 1:49.31 compared to yesterday's fastest lap, which was a 1:31.18, so about 18 seconds a lap slower. As the green flag is going to wave, and Harridge is already getting alongside Danny Hans. He's got to be careful not to complete the move before they pass the start line, which they do now. Heading down towards Clervaux, Harridge is going to go to the left-hand side of the circuit and drive all the way around the outside of Danny Hans. He's done it. But he goes off through the gravel trap and he keeps it out of the barrier. Craig Pollard follows him off there as well. But nevertheless, Harridge still in the lead of the race. And now Pollard's going to go up on the inside of Hans through Hawthorne there. So they are both off through the gravel. I think Hans is just going to repel him in actual fact. Yes, he does. Both off through the gravel. Nevertheless, Harridge holds the lead.
Yes, Harridge holds the lead, but he's being harried all the way down there side by side. And here comes Pollard. You can see how much grunt he's got coming up the inside. Is he going to hold sway into the corner? He's there, wheel to wheel they go through Tower, and Pollard on the inside and Hans on the outside. Both former champions. And what a battle this is! That was extraordinary down at Clervaux.
Yeah, absolutely. They're up at Sunny Corner now, just watching the rest of the cars just make their way through. Rachel Swain, I think you can see, making her way through the murk and down towards Tower Corner. But we'll pick the leaders up again very shortly as they arrive back towards the complex. Taking a little bit longer to get here than we possibly expected. I guess it is very wet out there, and it is Harridge that's going back towards us. Hans is just about holding on from Craig Pollard in second place. Ian Jordan sticking with them very nicely in third position, then quite a gap back to Christian Goller, who is fifth at the moment.
Yeah, Ian Jordan's been running now in this series for 40 years, hasn't he?
31 years,
I
I think, but not quite.
A long
in his
time.
Fourth decade.
Certainly with his dad, there's been racing a long time in this, and that's an elderly base car that's been upgraded over the years.
That checkered
and
flag.
the checkered flag's come out 2 3/4 minutes prior to the end of it. So that is it. So and it's showing, interestingly. It was showing Hans at the head, but now it's gone to Harridge at the head, as we saw.
Itself, yeah. So Harridge is the winner by 2.32 seconds then, his first victory of the season. Hans in second and Pollard in third, only 16 hundredths behind. We probably did lose a bit of time because of that extra green flag lap, didn't we, after the start was delayed, so that probably explains that. Ian Jordan took fourth place, fifth place to Christian Goller, sixth to Matthew Hyde, so he made up a couple of positions on that one lap that we had.
He certainly did well because, yeah, he's come up strongly. Good effort from the 16-year-old, car 51, Mason, Jones, Buxton and Cressy. Buxton had a fairly anonymous day yesterday, didn't he, but showed his experience today. Yeah. And there we go.
Number one, Harridge is very happy with that, showing his thanks as well to the marshals. The drivers go around on their slowing down lap, and yes, we echo the gratitude to the marshalling force here at Croft this weekend, especially as today you've had to put up with some very difficult weather conditions already, and we're very grateful to be in our commentary box and thankful that you're doing all of your hard work out there.
Well, there's our top three, the two blue cars and the yellow one. Number one, champion of the last 2 years, showing his mettle from the back of the field. And the fact that he was way down in 30th place on the grid. Yes, there were a couple missing to make it fractionally easier, but he was into the top 12 by the middle of the back straight.
Yeah, and third by the end of the first lap. Yeah, and only 3 racing laps in total. Had we not had that safety car, I think there's still a good chance he would have caught and passed Hand. We'd have probably had another 2 or 3 laps of racing, wouldn't we? But nevertheless, even though the gap was closed for him, if you like, by the safety car, a very good drive from James Harridge. And as well from Craig Pollard. I'm sure if that race had got on for a couple of laps as we thought it might do, then it would have been.
Well, he had his nose ahead, but Danny Hans fought back to get past him again.
First defeat this season for Pollard. I don't think we'll be too concerned, especially as neither Harridge nor Hans have had an unblemished record of finishes so far.
Exactly.
This season.
Yeah, remarkable effort, really. And Formula V's then, as we always said, so much more than a lot of hot air. Great cars.
Absolutely. So Harridge it was that took the victory in 5 laps that were completed. And car number 1 from number 2, Danny Hans in 2nd place. 3rd place went to number 92, Craig Pollard. 4th place to number 3, Ian Jordan. 5th was number 56, Christian Goller. 6th was number 51, Matthew Hyde. 7th, number 17, Elliot Mason. 8th to number 43, that was Vaughan Jones. 9th was 69, Ian Buxton. And 10th was number 11, and that was Ben Cressy. So that's all of the Formula V action for this weekend. The championship will continue though at Brands Hatch on the 2nd and 3rd of July. There's the next 10, by the way. James Huckle 11th, Colin Gregory 12th, for Waterhouse 13th, Sam Allbank 14th, then Matt Topham 15th, Francis Twyman, Stephen Bailey, Simon Livesley, Peter Cann and Alan McKenna rounding out the top 20. And I think just a few more on the next screen as well. Rachel Swain and David Hamage and Chris Wilshire made it to the checkered flag. We lost Matt Harbert and Tim Probert, as well as the 2 that went off on the first lap, Steve O and Andrew Cooper. Yes, Brands Hatch the next round, and Snetterton, Silverstone, Cadwell and Mallory to round out the Formula V Championship season. Plenty more racing still to come this afternoon, but we'll go down to the pit lane for the first time today to hear from Tom Butterworth.
Down in the pit lane for the first time today with the Martins Group Formula V winners and podium sitters. So, James Harridge, congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, that was a bit of a hectic, chaotic race, but yeah, we didn't have a good day yesterday. We kept snapping the gear linkage, and to be honest, I'd given up a bit of hope for this weekend because I just thought that the car wasn't quite up to it. I felt really up to it as soon as it started to rain. So we come, what did we start? 28th?
Right at the back, yeah, so it was definitely an adventure for you.
I genuinely couldn't see anything. I had to lift the visor up because I had the visor fully up all the way down the back because I couldn't see a thing. Yeah. I'd forgotten what it was like to start that far back with all them cars. So it was a bit of a challenge. All the best to Danny, because I mean, to be fair, when I got past him down there at turn 1, I was already past, but I outbraked myself, went wide. I tried to give it back to then come back past, but he was already in a battle with Pollard there, so I felt bad. I said sorry to him, but it's one of those things, isn't it? I'm sure he'll get me back for it in the next race.
It was definitely an adventure, especially those opening couple of laps as well. So huge amounts of places made up. Just a case of threading the needle, or was it all down to experience, or what was the difference?
Yeah, to be honest, I think it's one of those things. You just got to have the feel, for the car. I mean, this car and me have always got on well in the rain. And I think it was quite nice to have a bit of a leveller because some people have got a hell of a lot of power in the dry. And yesterday, I don't think I'd have done it in the dry, but the rain, it's a great leveller, and I've enjoyed it today. So thanks to everyone that's helped out this weekend. AHS as well, they welded up. I mean, they're a rival, and they've gone out of their way to help me. So yeah, thanks to Alan Harding and AHS and my dad as well, who I don't know if he finished or not, but he's out there as well somewhere.
We think he did.
Yeah, that's a milestone. Just finishing, bless him. So yeah, thanks for your time. Cheers, mate.
Great stuff. Thanks, James. Congratulations to your Martins Group Formula V winner for that race. So we're going to move on to second place. So that's Daniel Hans. Daniel, tell us about that one. Obviously, very, very wet, very tricky conditions. How was it for you?
Yeah, it's all pretty bad, really. Like you say, very tricky. James did well to come through and make all those places up. Into turn 1 on the restart, obviously he outbraked himself going into the turn and went off track, and then kind of when he came back on, he was ahead of me. So and he pulled a big gap, so I couldn't really do anything about it. So he kind of took me off track, but it is what it is, and we'll move on to the next one.
Okay, well, 2 second places from the weekend as well, so all good for the championship and looking rosy moving forward?
Yeah, we're just doing one race at a time at the moment. We're still developing the car, so there's lots to come. That's the first time we've ever driven that car, that chassis in the wet. And that was on a full dry setup. So yeah, there's lots to come in the wet. But yeah, I mean, overall, it's not too bad of a weekend. Could have been better. We'll just try and find some more speed for next time.
Okay, well, it looked like it looked after you anyway, and yeah, congratulations. 2 second places, 2 podiums for the weekend. So moving on finally to yesterday's winner. So this is Craig Pollard. Craig, starting 17th as well, where you said yesterday that you thought you might struggle from there, but stellar couple of laps and made your way right through.
Yeah, obviously wanted 2 places better than that, and James had an absolute demon start to go from further back to win the race, but it's a shame we didn't get more laps after the safety car to go for it. I got side by side with Danny, and I think I'd have definitely had him and tried to hold on to the back of James, but I knew he was going to be quick today, and it's a long season ahead, and take some points for today and move on, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked a good battle between the two of you up into Tower Bend, and both made it through nice and cleanly as well, which is the key thing. And double podium for the weekend.
Yeah, no, happy with that. You know, me and Danny both said after the race, you know, we're millimetres from each other's tyres, and open wheel, if you go over the top of each other, it's game over. It makes such a mess of the cars, and it's the first time I've driven the car on the wet as well. I don't know setup or anything like that, so we'll take the points and move on, I think.
Great stuff. All right, thanks, Craig. Thank you very much indeed. So we will move on very quickly. Your next race is going to be the first race of the weekend for the Toyo Tyres Toyota MR2 Championship.